We had intentions as a party to win. But in a democracy, you don't win everything. Otherwise, there will be no democracy. So congratulations to Honorable Bright Nundwe, Member of Parliament for Chawama. Good morning, countrymen and women and the youth of our country. Today is a special day because we celebrate democracy. And we are coming live from Chawama Provincial Headquarters, wherein as government would like to pronounce ourselves on a few issues, particularly the issue of the moment, the just ended by-elections in Chawama. Let me begin by extending hearty and fraternal greetings from His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, who is here on a working holiday and has tasked me that I should extend his warm greetings to the nation, and that the nation is going on firmly as usual. Today, we wanted, as government and also as party in government, to pronounce ourselves on the just ended Chawama by-elections. Firstly, President Hakainde Hichilema, his administration, and the party in government do acknowledge and accept the decision made by the people of Chawama, who are representative of the people of Zambia, in espousing and also in ensuring that we exemplify as a people a living, healthy, and thriving democracy. The vote by the people of Chawama yesterday sends only one signal, not to a country, but to the region and the world at large, that Zambia's democracy is alive. So those who were saying the democratic space in Zambia is shrinking, that democracy is at threat, it's at bleak in Zambia, yesterday's vote was and is your answer. President Hakainde Hichilema and his administration and his party thank most sincerely the people of Chawama constituency for the manner they came out in large numbers to express their wishes to vote in the manner they did. President Hakainde Hichilema and his administration do hereby, and as I do, congratulate now Honorable Bright Nundwe, Member of Parliament now for Chawama constituency, on his election to that high August house. That is a people's decision which President Hakainde Hichilema respects. When the Chawama by-election was called, it was never intended at all to be won by the UPND. It was meant to provide an opportunity for the people of Chawama to elect a member of parliament who will sit in the house to represent them and their views. Yes, I must admit, we had intentions as a party to win. But in a democracy, you don't win everything, otherwise there will be no democracy. So congratulations to Honorable Bright Nundwe, Member of Parliament for Chawama elect, and we welcome you to the House. Looking at your credentials as a former permanent secretary, President Hakainde Hichilema is happy to receive you to be amongst one of the number he will work with in national development. We welcome you to the HH Bali 2026 team that should deliver a nation in national development to take it to greater heights. For us, it's not about a party you stood on or what you said during the by-elections. It is about what now we stand together to work with as a people whose nation and citizens look up to us, that we must deliver under the guidance and able leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. Honorable Bright Nundwe, Member of Parliament for Chawama elect, you are coming at a very special moment when the country is negotiating very difficult bends, where we are coming now arising from the worst drought in living memory, where we are at a point we have successfully negotiated debt restructuring, where under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, now the kwacha and other convertible currencies are coming to a convergence, where the kwacha is gaining buoyancy and beginning to become bullish because of the economic performance of our country under the able leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. Yes, we are still negotiating load shedding, but President Hakainde Hichilema has put in measures that are mitigating and ameliorating of this situation, starting with legal reform that has seen open access to ensure generation of power away from ZESCO monopoly and hydroelectricity generation into solar, thermal, and other means of power generation to cater for our ever growing national demand with an expanding and demanding economy. We sit in a very special place, but one where there is no comfort because there is more work to be done. You're coming at a time when we have rebounded from the worst drought in living memory to a super bumper harvest. Yes, we delayed to pay our farmers, not by failure, not by design, but by configuration of circumstances as they played out, because we have had to ensure we paid for the maize we imported from Tanzania and also from contract farming, early maize from our local commercial farmers who we had to ensure they got into the business of maize production after they had abandoned because it had become unprofitable. Today, as we speak, agriculture, maize production is now viewed as a viable economic endeavor. That is the country that President Hakainde Hichilema is driving. The mines now have rebounded from courtroom submissions and counter submissions and argumentation to production on the ground. And we are poised as we speak to break, as we have done now this year, last year, the psychological barrier of 1 million metric tons of copper production. There is a presidential target of the production of 3 million metric tons of copper, that at those levels we become globally competitive. Just like there is a 10 million metric tons of maize production, that at those levels we become self-sufficient in terms of national food security and also regional supply and beyond. We are on the right track under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. So, Honorable Bright Nundwe, you are coming to join a team that has a lot of work on its sleeves. It is work and more work. And as you come to Parliament, we do expect that you will, and fortunately that you are permanent secretary before, do understand the need that we work in national interest. That is why you saw just a few weeks ago members of Parliament from across the aisle, regardless of political affiliation, came together and forged a national alliance for national unity and national development to vote for Bill number 7, which now has been assented by the President into law, to bring in more women, more youth, and more differently abled. That is to say, bring in more hands on deck. We are on a march. We are on a move under the head coach for Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema. So, I want to thank, on the behalf of the President, the people of Chawama, the people of Zambia, those who turned out in numbers, those who may not have voted. Also, we thank you. Let me also take this opportunity to thank all those who participated, the Electoral Commission, the Zambia Police, men in uniform, for your professional conduct. Chawama by-election went eventless. There was no record of any form of violence, any form of confrontation. Some parts of the country actually did not know that there was a by-election in Chawama. That is a leadership that is methodical under President Hakainde Hichilema. Peace is the most important commodity in any country that is desirous to develop itself. And under his leadership, we have ensured the maintenance of peace. There was no violence in Chawama whatsoever. So, it looks like Chawama will be one of the last, if not the last, parliamentary by-elections, since we are remaining with just about 4 months before the dissolution of Parliament. So, the signal that Chawama has sent to the nation is a signal of peace, is a signal that 2026 presidential and general elections will be peaceful under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. This is what the people of Zambia in 2021 voted for. And President Hakainde Hichilema is determined to ensure that this peace is protected, promoted, upheld, and defended. I'm sure every citizen now feels safe and happy to call themselves Zambians. Chawama for us, as a party in government, the UPND and its alliance members, is not a setback. Chawama victory to the opposition is our victory because it espouses and exemplifies what we have always been saying, that democracy in Zambia is at its best. There will be no democracy if every by-election is won by the ruling party, because democracy is about competition. There can be no competition without competitors. We need competitors. Just like now there is Africa Cup, and as much as we wish Senegal to win, like we wish Morocco to win, but they must compete first. They're coming from pools of other competitors. In 2026 in Zambia, there is one solid competitor, President Hakainde Hichilema and his team, and we look forward to an opposition that must bring themselves together into a semblance of a team to compete with, so that we can give breath to democracy to be alive as it should be. There is no joy in us, in government, to win on a silver platter, because then we may take what we see for granted. We need competition so that we're always on the lookout. Thank you, the people of Chawama, for Bright Nundwe. He has saved this country before. We expect him to save this country even now more on this high platform, and expect him to work with President Hakainde Hichilema in national development. The good news is, those days where a ruling party would be saying, unless you vote or voted with us, we will not give you or will not take development, those days are archaic and anachronistic. They belong to the annals of history. Today we are talking of development under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema that is national and inclusive, that respect the will of the people, that even when Chawama voted the way they voted, developmental programs in Chawama will continue as scheduled. We will only ask the newly elected member of parliament to step up to the plate to engage government, him being part of government, that we must deliver for the people of Chawama. The vote now no longer matters how it was voted. What matters is how we must deliver. It was just a means, but not an end in itself. The end game is to take development to our people, and Chawama will get its rightful share, regardless the MP, regardless the political party. And we are convinced where we sit that this was not about FDD. No, this was about an individual, Bright Nundwe, whom the people of Chawama preferred. And now that you have been preferred, work with Bali so that we can deliver a country together, because Bali has no preference for political party, for an individual, but for ideas to take the country to the next level of our development. Let me also take this opportunity, now that we're here, that I indicate that government has fully met its financial obligation to pay farmers through FRA payments via banks. Government has released 100% funding towards payments to our farmers. We are aware as government that there are still long-standing queues out there because of the challenges of the modus operandi or means of payment that the banks have employed, and also with our people. That is not to be blamable on President Hakainde Hichilema or its government. That cannot also be blamable on the banks or the farmers. It's just that this money should have come earlier. If it came earlier, we would have had no these long queues. And that is why you have a magnanimous and gracious president who has apologized gracefully that this happened. But me, as chief government spokesperson, I know he was doing it out of love for his people, but he's not blamable. Government has had to look for money to budget for and pay for more than what was initially envisaged or planned for. But here we are done. We know that this has inconvenienced some of our farmers, but most of our farmers are driven by passion, are driven by love for country. Many fields that have not been cultivated for 20, 30 years are under active cultivation this year. With the rains, as we now are experiencing, we do expect to have more food, more maize this year. That is the reason why President Hakainde Hichilema has directed his cabinet to ensure that there should be more attention and resource allocation towards storage of maize, in line with the SADC agreement that in the face of these climatic challenges and exigencies, we must prepare enough storage capacity that in times of good harvest we store enough, so that in those times that are unplanned, we do not get to be found wanting. That is what this government is doing. But beyond storage, President Hakainde Hichilema has directed his cabinet to ensure that we do have an expanded marketing arrangement, that when we produce maize, we have enough for consumption and store for an uncertain tomorrow, and also going forward the surplus for export. And like we've seen, in more than 20, 30 years, we now have a trend, a goods trend, for the first time carrying maize in form of mealie meal into Lubumbashi. That is export. That is bringing forex income into our country. And President Hakainde Hichilema is urging our citizens to understand this. We can't just produce more maize than we need to consume and store, even when it should go to waste. We must have a business mindset, because agriculture is business. When we have enough for consumption, for storage for tomorrow, we must export. And that is why he's expanding his networks to ensure the region favorably looks at Zambia as a sustainable and viable, stable supplier of maize. This year, last year, we were in business to export maize. This year, we will do better. And President Hakainde Hichilema, as I was coming to address this media engagement, directed me to assure the nation that the chaotic situation of delayed payments to farmers who supplied through FRA will not repeat itself in 2026. And for all those farmers who were bonded but did not have something to supply to FRA, government has made itself clear. You will still have, and I'm sure you have, received your FISIP package, and no one should stand in your way. You have a caring president, a caring government, because President Hakainde Hichilema loves. President Hakainde Hichilema cares. President Hakainde Hichilema delivers. That is where we are at the moment. And going forward, for me, as Chief Government Spokesperson, my role is to reiterate what the President Hakainde Hichilema, has said, and to that effect dedicated 2026 to. He has dedicated 2026 as the year of peace, love, and national unity, and that on that platform we leverage, we promote national development. He's clear in his mind that, like athletes, during this temporary opportunity that the people of Zambia have favored us and him to lead country, we must run the best of our stagger. President Hakainde Hichilema has run the best stagger this far, but needs, and he is willing to do more. He has delivered what he promised as an electoral commitment: reintroduction of free education, reintroduction of meal allowances to students at public universities, cleared a backlog of long-standing queues of retirees, many of whom had died without seeing their terminal benefits. President Hakainde Hichilema made sure he has resuscitated mines. Mines Shaft 23, which was closed for more than 20 years, is now dewatering and soon to go under active copper production. Kalengwa mine, which was closed for 47 years, for the first time, reopened. Kasenseri gold mine, closed, reopened. Artisanal mining participants, mainly youth, are in active engagement of mining activities, save for and in recognition and compliance of legal mining, safe mining, and ensuring proper marketing arrangements so that we don't just mine to enrich others. We must be the ones to be the beneficiaries. So, going forward, Zambia is positioning itself in the mining sector as a key driver into the transition of minerals of the future, minerals that will drive safe and clean energy globally, with cobalt, with lithium, with all those minerals of the moment. Zambia and its neighbors are host to the same. It is high time, as citizens, we place premium on recognizing our natural and human endowment so that we can move our country together forward. And that's the reason why we are hesitant as government and party in government to respond to those who want to do politics forever. Every day, politicking, HH this, HH that, HH has said this at the Chawama rally. There is nothing that President HH said at the Chawama rally which should be contended as having been divisive. Nothing. He was just delivering a message for a willing citizenry. And all those who are trying to concoct issues out of what President Hakainde Hichilema said, it's because they have no issues and citizens get it. Out of all what President HH said in Choma, have you heard anybody contend with him to critique any police pronouncement of his administration? Nothing. They are just looking out for petty issues that are political in nature, because that is where they can be competitive, not on policy programs. Nothing. So the country is on the move. There will be no letting down. This opportunity we have, we can't lose it. We can't go back to the days of gassing citizens. We can't go back to the days of corruption, to the days where ministers would stop minibuses and start slapping, citizens, to the days where those in government would ban dollars when citizens were starving, to the days where those in government were saying, "Abaniye bali nakasaka kandalama," when the citizens were starving. Today, if you don't have money, it's because I also don't have money. It's because also President HH doesn't have money as a president, and that's why he is offering leadership of service, not of aggrandizement. This opportunity we have, President HH has guided. We will not let it go. In terms of what the Chinese say, they say they are developing their country in terms of national condition. Our national condition as a country now is that we need a stable leader, a leader of focus, a leader who doesn't harbor vengeance, a leader who is forgiving, who loves, who cares, who delivers. That is what President HH is. As we go into 2026, there is a lot more work to be done, like President Hakainde Hichilema has enunciated and espoused and stated. Chief amongst those is the issue of power. And he has stated that even if we do have good rains, even if we are importing power to levels of sufficiency, we will not stop there. We have to do more, because we know that our economy is ever expanding. And beyond economic consumption, we are looking at being a net exporter of power in the region and beyond. Zambia is well placed. Zambia is well land linked. We do have ourselves as enemies, as a people, that when the right things are done, some choose to go and pander to the whims of gallery, to mislead people. We are under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, well guided to receive and shall continue to receive more members, those who are able and willing and well-meaning. Those who don't want to join in solidarity with what President Hakainde Hichilema is doing, we understand them. They're giving life to democracy. But do it the right way, you risk becoming irrelevant, because Bali is putting up a national team that should win for the country, for the citizens, in 2026 and beyond. This is what today we wanted to interact with the nation, primarily to thank the people of Chawama for the peace that was exemplified in Chawama, for the vote that they expressed, for the wishes that now stand understood by government and the citizenry, and for the MP that has been delivered to that Mandahill August House, and that he will work with President Hakainde Hichilema for the good not just of Chawama, but for the nation. I thank you. Any questions, colleagues from the media?